you can say. So instead of calling memory, I just prefer to call it Smriti. And I'm trying to model or give a mathematical model for this Smriti using a spectral tensor. I'll tell you what is tensor, and this spectral tensor is new term even to mathematicians, because I gave this concept and some mathematicians like this also. So, so this is dedicated to Bhaktivedanta Institute. They give me a lot of opportunity to explore some new ideas. So I'm very thankful to them. So basically, first I'm going to discuss the human intelligence and expert system in computer. Then I'll give you some concept of tensor, and then I will give you the concept of a spectral tensor, and I'll tell you why we need this concept of a spectral tensor for modeling Smriti or memory. So memory generally you have discussed in the last many presentation, which exists in your brain, but there is some memory which goes from one body to another body. So instead of calling it memory, I just prefer to call it Smriti. This Prolog is an expert programming language. You know, those who are computer science people, they will be aware of that. And this is a very powerful programming language for automated reasoning, problem solving, natural language understanding, robot planning, machine learning. You can develop these program for. So in this Prolog program, you have a sequence of facts and rules. Okay, you have to feed that facts and rules, and then Prolog has some inference engine, you know, which correlates these facts and rules. For example, if you have to write a program for factorial, you know, so those who are aware with the C or programming, they know they have to write the for loop and all. But here you have to write one fact, say factorial of 0 is 1, and say factorial of n is f. So what is f? You are calculating in the last line, f is n cross f1. And what is n? So it's saying n is greater than 0. So this is the rule, you know, factorial n is f, and then these 3-4 lines are rules. So you are putting in the Prolog facts and rules, and then it calculates the factorial. Or say if you want to develop a software for, say, doctors, so you put some symptoms, okay, symptom flu, symptom yellowish eye, things like that, and then you put some rule that if the person has these symptoms, then he has hepatitis A or hepatitis B or hepatitis C. So when you get some patient and you ask symptoms and you put that as input, then it will tell that this patient is suffering from this type of disease. So this you can do very easily in Prolog. Sorry. So you see, in Prolog, what you are putting is facts and rule, and you are making an expert system. Now let us see these examples. Say when you say that A.R. Rahman is an expert in music, or the boy is expert in mathematics, or the girl is expert in engineering drawing, or professor is expert in history, or you should be expert in psychology. So what does it mean when you say like this? So it simply means that A.R. Rahman knows the rules of music. I do not know, I just simply enjoy rules of music. Or the boy knows how to apply the rules of mathematics or formulas of mathematics. Or when you say that the girl is good in engineering drawing, does not mean that she can visualize very nicely the complex picture or project it on the paper. No, she knows the rules of engineering drawing. If you put the rules in a systematic way, you will get a proper projection. If you don't know rules, then you cannot visualize. It's just not possible. Similarly, when somebody says that the professor is expert in history, it means that he knows the rules of history and he can predict the future, you know. And when you say that you know the rules of human or animal behavior, then means that you are expert in psychology. So the important thing is that you must know the rules, and also we get some facts. So how we learn these things, you know, we all the time we learn rules and facts only. In our brain, we put only facts and rules. So for example, some facts, you know, in school and parents, they teach something like ABCD or rat, cat, dog, you know, or red, blue, green colors. They just teach us how to you know, recognize these things, or the and then they teach us some rules also, like rule of addition or rule of multiplication. Okay, or some rules, you know, how to form a sentence, or some rule like if you mix these two colors, you will get this color. So these type of rules they teach us. So in the brain, all the time we are putting some facts and rules. Okay, we are not doing anything else. Now sometimes you can show the rules and how you are forming the rules. Sometimes you cannot. It's just perfectly logic. You have to put or memorize. For example, a mathematician understands that 1 plus 1 equal to 2 also, and 1 plus 1 equal to 0 also. How? Because he knows that 1 plus 1 is equal to 2 is valid in natural numbers, and 1 plus 1 equal to 0 in Z2 field. Okay. So 1 plus 1 equal to 2, you can demonstrate it with the help of very simple examples. You know, 1 apple, 1 apple, this is the 2 apples. But 1 plus 1 equal to 0, you cannot demonstrate using this such a simple examples. You have, this mathematician use a very complex logic. Very complex logic. This is a field, this is axioms. And then because of these axioms, you get this field, and this field, you have this rule of addition. So here you cannot demonstrate by using some experiment. This is just not possible. Okay. But you know, this is very important. This is just not a something like a fun for mathematicians. No, all computer science is based on this Z2 field. So you have many other fields, which is totally based on perfect logic. And this perfect logic, sometimes you cannot demonstrate with the simple examples, but then it works. And sometimes it gives a wonderful results. So this is one example. You know, the whole computer science is based on this fundamental mathematics. And see, technology comes later on. First, you have to develop perfect logic. Okay, once you have perfect logic, then you can think about the technology. Okay, and once you get the technology, you will become really excited. You know? So first step is you have to understand the perfect logic. So we have to focus on perfect logic. Now let us take another example. You know, the common man cannot form the rules. We generally learn. You know, Newton gave some law. As a professor, all the time we apply that Newton's law. That's all, and we get such a huge salary and respect and everything. You know, we have not developed the Newton's law. You know, somebody developed, Newton developed, and we are just using that. And then, so if you want to develop the perfect logic, you know, logic, you have to be, you have to do hard work, and you have to be intelligent. Only then. Now, if you see now, you see the brain expert system, you know, of computer. In fact, it is true that our brain is very complex, much more complex. Now, there is a fundamental difference between brain and computer. The difference is that the computer, you always program for a task, whereas the brain is very random. Suddenly something, it will correlate and then find something. Okay. And another difference is, if you see the brain and computer is that brain decides that, okay, I want this thing. I want to prove this thing. And then it collects the rules and facts. This is another problem with the brain. For example, if I am a Hindu, I will say that I want to prove Bhagavad Gita. That's all. I'm Muslim. I will use all my science and knowledge and rules and facts to prove the Quran. If I'm a Christian, I will try to prove the Bible. So this is the biggest problem with the brain. No, there's nothing wrong. I'm a Hindu. I'm trying to prove Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam. I may get something. Even though my approach is wrong, I believe that this is wrong approach, but still I feel that this may work. Because once upon a time, people were trying to find the gold using chemistry. They could not find the gold using chemistry, but then chemistry developed a lot. So even though if you have a wrong goal, if you are following the right path, you will get something. So the important thing is that you should follow logic perfectly. You are going to get the perfect things. So how to follow the logic perfectly? I believe that only mathematics can help us. No other thing can help us. So there, of course, there are some other features are also there in the brain, like for example, emotions, which is very subjective. And also all the time, like Maharaji was telling that we want pleasure only. Okay, whatever we do, we want for pleasure only. So this is another problem for human brain. And computer, of course, you cannot think about that. And of course, when we get something, new logic or some whatever, then we get rewards also. On the other end, computer get only electricity. So now here, what I want to say that mathematics works because everything is logical in the universe. This works very perfectly. Now, since everything is logical, so the universe can be expressed in terms of mathematics. Or I say that I want to understand the thing using mathematics. Okay, some of the things which are which we express in words may be interpreted in many ways. But the advantage of mathematics is that you can understand in a very unique way. You cannot. There will be no confusion on that. If you understand it perfectly. So now there's a very interesting quote by Roger Penrose, Nobel laureate. He says that there are three different words: the word of our conscious perception, the physical word, and Platonic word of mathematics. And he further says that no doubt there are not really three words, but one, the true nature, of which we do not even glimpse at present. Okay, this is a quote which I like. Now here I will try to show you that how these three words are not different, they are one. Even though Roger Penrose did not explain it, I'll try to explain it in my way. This is a flow chart which I often, in fact, I'm showing it from the very beginning, So I'm putting this mathematical word in the bottom. Okay. That gives you the perfect logic. Okay. Now, if you observe some law like thermodynamics laws or Newton's law, you are observing, you are not proving these laws. Like when you say that heat flows from higher temperature to lower temperature, you have observed. You have not proved it mathematically. So you form the second law of thermodynamics. So this way you get the scientific laws. Now if you further observe by using some experiment and all, then you observe that there is oxygen, there is iron, things like that. This is another observation by some experiments and all. And then if you have, say, all the laws, if you have all the matters, you have mathematical law, you cannot prove that there is a soul. you are observing that there is a living being, there is a dead person. So again, there is observation. Now here you see, when you are going from mathematical words to the higher space, you are not able to prove the higher space using logic. You are just simply observing. Of course, if you are in the higher space, like as a living being, you can prove the mathematics, you can prove so many things, but you cannot prove from lower space to higher space. You have just one facility, that is observation. Now here, when you want to go further above that, as a living being, beyond that space, you cannot go because you don't have that facility to observe. Okay, you cannot make any instrument for that also. So question is how to go to the higher space. Okay. Now we can go to higher space only by using axiom. So the axiom is a very important and powerful mathematical technique that will show you, So the only way is to go, it is something like, you can project the three-dimensional vector into two-dimensional space. This is possible, but you cannot project two-dimensional vector or in three-dimensional space. You will get some absurd thing. So going to higher dimension, what is the method? Only method is you have to use axiom. So these are some very simple example. For example, if you want to measure the length, so what do? You create the axioms, you create the concept of norm, and then say that this is a length in the higher dimension. We call it norm, not length. So higher dimension, you cannot make a model of higher dimension and you say that this is norm. It's just a mathematical concept based on axioms. Similarly, if you want angle, you cannot make a higher dimension model and find the angle. It's just not possible. You create the axioms, you create the concept of inner product, and from the inner product, you create the concept of angle that you can prove in the lower dimension. This is possible. From higher dimension to coming to lower dimension is possible, but not from lower dimension to higher dimension. Now you have, using these axioms, you have also created the concept of Hilbert space, and this Hilbert space is generalization of three-dimensional Euclidean space. So smoothly नहीं चलता, it takes some time, it seems. Okay, now first thing that I want to prove that using axiom, that there is some consciousness. Okay, generally the physics people, not all are accepting this concept of consciousness, but here using axioms, I want to prove first thing is that there is some consciousness. So how to prove it? I'm showing this simple thought model. Here in one isolated box, we have a power supply, bulb, electricity, light, then watering system, and the seeds also we are putting. So we see that is nice, plant is growing. Another box, we are putting everything, but not seeds. So you see that there will be no plant growth. Now, when we say that these seeds are growing a plant, or I say that the seed has a higher consciousness, and this higher consciousness is creating some kind of order system, nice flower. So in this, you can say that entropy is reducing, disorderness is reducing, is creating some very ordered system. What I want to say that if there is some higher consciousness, it will reduce the disorderness. Okay, only the higher consciousness reduces the disorderness. Now let us take another examples. See, if you see children, they will create a lot of disorderness. When mother comes, it makes everything in the order. So how? Because mother has higher consciousness. So it put everything in the order. And Bhagavad Gita also says, Yada yada hi dharmasya glanirvabhati. So Bhagavad Gita says that you people, because of your lower consciousness, create disorderness, then I come to create the orderness. So you see, these are forming the axioms that the orderness is coming only because of higher consciousness. So there is a higher consciousness. It's not like Big Bang theory. Suddenly there's a Big Bang, then things started. I'm very much against the Big Bang because it has many flaws, even though. So because that is not my topic right now, so I'm not discussing. So here you see that the increasing level of consciousness in this pyramid. Now, one thing is proved that there is a different level of consciousness. Now, this is one of the very fundamental or very important shlok from Isha Upanishad, Om Purnamada Purnamidam. So the translation is Om, that is complete. This is also is complete. From this completeness comes from that completeness. Taking completeness out from completeness, completeness indeed remains. Means we all are coming from the same Brahman, so we are complete. Because we are from the Brahman. There's no doubt. Now, I'm again here, we are defining the Smriti as memory of Brahman. I'm saying that Smriti is like a memory of Brahman and it can be expressed using tensor. Now, first, what is a tensor? I forgot to bring the pen. So let us say this is a vector. Okay. So if this is a vector, then you can project in X, Y, Z direction. Okay. Now, if you change the X, Y direction, what will happen? Only the projection will change. If you are a mathematics student, you can very easily understand. The vector will not change. This vector will not change. So this is like invariant. So this invariant concept is called tensor. That is, things are invariant. Okay. So vector is like first order tensor. Scalar is like zeroth order tensor, and you can go to higher order tensor. So this memory basically is invariant, I say. Okay, it doesn't change. And when I say the memory or Smriti, memory, of course, you cannot use for the tree. Generally, I don't think that you will use memory only for the rats, cats, dogs, etc. But here I am using Smriti, which you can apply on the tree, because you know that even tree has some Smriti. Mango tree cannot give apple. It has some memory, Smriti. So here I am putting this in terms of tensor, because it is you will feel that this is a memory for the short period like that. Maybe it gets some other memory. No, it's not like that. I'll tell you why. So first axiom, I'm putting that Brahman is full of knowledge, because we are coming from Brahman, so we are full of knowledge, there's no doubt. And bliss, but it is covered by illusion or Maya. And there is a gradual revelation of knowledge and bliss. You can always see that a child slowly grows. It gains knowledge, and as he gets more and more knowledge, becomes more and more blissful. So I say that even though the tensor is complete, but yeah, no, it's okay. I'm not tried. Yeah. So you see, even though it's complete, but it's gradually tensor is increasing. The order of tensor is increasing. Means I'll tell you later, more about this. Yeah. Matrix represents the tensor. Like, for example, if we see that this is a vector, so what is say that this is ix, you say ux, uy, uz. Okay, this is a vector. So u is a vector. So you say that ux, uy, uz are projection in xyz plane. So when we say this is a tensor, it means that you have a many dimensions, and each dimension has some projections. And even though the projection may change, but the tensor will remain as it is. So these coefficient may change, but the tensor as a unit will remain as it is. It will not change. It's just a notation, subscript and superscript. Just like a projection in alpha direction and beta direction. Okay, the component of in alpha direction and beta direction, something like that. So even though here when we say that this alpha and beta direction, basically I mean to say that the alpha and beta are some basis function. If you know, it's becoming more and more complex, but if you know mathematics, you can really enjoy it. So it's not only the directions x, y, z direction, it is more a basis function. Like I, j, k are like a basis vector. So when you go for more mathematics, it becomes a basis functions. So when I say that alpha and beta, I mean to say that these are basis functions. Like in Fourier series, the basis function are sin x, sin 2x, sin 3x. So you get a lot of basis function. So same way, I'm not sure, what type of basis function it will have, but I'm just telling that it has some basis function, and in that basis function it is projecting. So these are the coefficient. I'm not sure. dash, because this is just my way of understanding. Because unless you do some experiment, you cannot say that these are the max dimension. So this is what I want to present. Like Fourier series may have infinite dimension. Fourier series are infinite dimensions. So as you go, evolution process, you see that your dimensions are increasing. You become more and more capable. As your consciousness increases, you become more and more capable. So there is a gradual revolution. So here again, I am putting those who are expert in wavelets, they will understand that it's like you are adding, going to add space. You are adding some space, and again you are representing it something like this. Now this was the basic concept of tensor. Now why I'm using the spectral tensor? This spectral tensor is very new to even mathematicians also. Okay, when I presented this concept, they said that okay, this is very interesting, but it is logical. So they thought that they will think about it. It's not something like you have something in the mathematics book. No, you don't have such thing like in mathematics book. I said why it's necessary, because all your senses are sensing some kind of waves. Okay, you touch, you smell, your eyes, ears, everything is getting some kind of waves. Okay, now when you get a wave and the wave frequency matches with the frequency of your eyes, vibration, then it gets excited and you get the feeling, like resonance kind of thing. Then you get that feeling. So the energy is coming in the form of waves, and you have, every system has a natural vibration. So when the frequency matches, you get excited and you get some information from that. This is what I feel. Because everything is in the form of waves and vibration. So instead of putting vector tensor in the numbers, I prefer to say that these are not numbers, but they are some kind of vibrations. Okay, some kind of signal. So I call it spectral tensor. Now, so in the whole process, everything is like rotating or moving in a very cyclic way, not very periodic like gears. It's much more complex, but it's a like cyclic process. You're getting some waves, you're getting vibrations. Okay. Now, if you see this, this spectral tensor of consciousness interacting with the proper frequency of Panchatattva. Like for example, in case of plant, you are getting the sunlight, you're getting the, even the soil which you are getting, you can say that this is some kind of suction process and things like that. Even the suction process also, you will find that some mechanism of vibration is there, a continuous vibration and things are there. Then when you go for a higher consciousness, it develops the operators like ear, eye, nose, tongue, skin. You get a higher operator level, and like rat, cat, dogs, things like that. So again, you are getting from these operators the some signals or some kind of waves. Okay, and these waves are converted into some signal. Say yt is a function of t, and this yt, when you when it convolutes with brain signal, you get another information, zt. Like for example, a dog attracted towards some food because of its smell. Now, when you further develop system, further develop system, you get man buddhi ahankar also. Like for example, a rat may not have that man buddhi ahankar. Okay, may not have ahankar, at least. So it's developing, but it's not so developed. So it cannot take many decisions like human being. So here you can take decision whether you want rasgulla or you don't want to take rasgulla. For example, I am diabetic, but still I have to take this decision. And then you also find that every person has a unique way to handle situation, because of its unique man buddhi ahankar. So in conclusion, I say that the spectral tensor of consciousness interacting with various frequency of the universe. Okay, and some cases it uses operators like eye, ear, nose, tongue, skin, and in highly complex mechanisms it uses the man buddhi ahankar also. Now, there is a one question which you may ask, that if my memory, I have the memory of a tree, because I am saying that the Smriti is increasing. So can I take soil and sunlight and create apple from my hand? This is the question, because it's increasing. When I'm saying that this tensor dimension is increasing, so it means that I must be capable to do that also. Now here, if you are a mathematics student, you will understand it very easily. That tensor, when you project in a particular space, you get that dimensions. So when I say that space, I have a space of this body, human body. Tree has a space of tree body. And one space has a specific operators. Like I have some operator, tree has another operator. Even though my Smriti is more developed than or more evolved than the Smriti of tree, but I don't have, I'm not within that space, and my operators are different. So I cannot make apple from soil and sunlight. A tree can make, because it has the operator. So if you are a mathematics student, you can very easily understand that what I mean. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir, for this captivating talk. I'm sure the audience wants to listen more. Any questions from the audience? Please, the mic be given to.
Good morning. I think it is a very brilliant idea to use Tensor to model consciousness and use operators, senses as operators. Very interesting idea. Is there a way to see physical correspondence or to really come up with some tensor? Is the idea that can be modeled as a tensor, but is there really any? It may not be very it is not approximated to a very great precision. At least some tensor which you can show with some physical correspondence in consciousness, because consciousness is another level. Then we are using the senses which are in physical realm as operators to sense the physical or physical things in the universe. So how those things work, at least if we can come up with some simple tensor.
Okay, the concept of tensor is already existing. There's invariant, number one. Of course, it's not complete. As I told you means in the beginning, that we have to develop perfect logic. And the perfect logic can be developed using axioms. Okay, because axioms, when you talk about the axiom, it becomes talk about the axiom, you don't have to show it using some experiments. Axioms can only give the perfect concept of field, perfect concept of space, operators. Now, whatever I have presented, if you see here, from the beginning, I'm trying to show it using axioms. Except in few cases, like for example, this is axiom. I showed that there are many examples like that. The higher consciousness is creating the disorder, reducing the disorderness. This is one example. This is axioms. Now, you can say that where is the axiom? Can you prove that this bacteria will become one day human being? What is the proof? You don't have axioms. You don't have any experimental evidence. Now, there is some problem, of course. But I say to the people that, okay, I believe that bacteria cannot become human being. I accept it. Okay. What is your logic that some people have one kind of capability, some people have another capability? They said that God created, some people like suffer like hell, some people enjoy like. I said, no. Everything is logical. You give any logical model, I will accept it. So when I say that karma's theory, this is the only logic through which you can say that things are logical. If you have something else, you just give us, I will accept it. So of course here I say that I don't have axioms, I don't have any experimental evidence, but I have some logic which I believe this is a theory, you give better theory. Okay, so there is some you can say that scientifically it's not well founded. Then I give another axioms. Of course here you say that the Brahman created Brahman and the Brahman is complete. This is not axiom. This is from our Shastras. Now you can say that. Can you show it? I said the example is that the lions, they will be lion only. So when we are coming from Brahman, we will be Brahman only. We will have all qualities. Lion cannot give a birth to a rat. So Brahman children will be Brahman only. This is, you can say, somewhat axioms, because we all the time we observe. Of course, you can say that not mathematically you cannot prove it, but it's a weak axiom, but you can accept it. Now, when we say that we are complete, when we accept this, once you accept it, someone can oppose it if he doesn't have faith. That's why you need some kind of faith. So when you accept it, then you say that it has, when we are coming from Brahman, it means that we have complete memory also. And we also see that the memory is evolving from children to child to the adult person and every stage. So this way, I put again axioms, that this is evolving. This I'm putting as axioms. So you see that this is a combination of what scripture says and what I put in terms of axiom. In some places, yes, I am not able to completely satisfy the condition of axiom, but in many cases, I am able to do that. Yeah.
Have you applied your spectral tensor concept in your field already? Or?
No, actually, we are thinking to do research. I have already, I told you that some mathematicians, they got very excited with this concept. So, yeah, we will do the research in this.
Yeah, thank you, Professor Sandeep, for a very nice, intuitive presentation, which opens up a lot of thought-provoking processes in the mind. So, just I have a query. As you said, the consciousness can be better represented as you keep on adding the higher orders. So, the thing which I could not comprehend is because in physics, as we say, or in science, we go with understanding the deeper aspects or higher aspects. We say this is experiential learning. So in the consciousness, when we try to say to represent the consciousness with decrease in entropy life, that is what I understood, that as entropy decreases means basically higher order increases. So how we can correlate this experimental understanding with the experiential understanding? How we can mathematically represent?
See,
I mean,
you see the many examples. Sorry. You see many examples here. This is one example. You see, this is an isolated system. Nothing we are getting, this box is not getting anything else. Orderness. Creating a nice plant, flowers.
As you said, sorry for the interruption.
Yeah.
As you said, it's an isolated system.
Yes.
When we understand from physics, so that means nothing is going, neither
Yes.
air, neither matter.
Yes.
Then how the plant will grow?
No, because within the system you have a light, you have a water, within you have a seeds, a soil. Everything is within that box.
Okay.
Okay. So instead of saying that they are generally people say that this universe is very big and so the orderness is not increasing. In fact, if you say the total orderness, it is decreasing. That kind of logic they give. If you talk to some scientists, they will say that if you take the whole universe, they will say that the orderness is decreasing because they cannot violate second law of thermodynamics. Entropy is increasing. So they say the whole universe, the entropy is increasing, but within a system, a small case, the entropy is decreasing. So when we say that something is growing, they said that these scientists say that this is a incidence of a small scale. But I say no, you take an isolated system. Instead of taking the whole universe, because when you talk about the whole universe, you will create a lot of confusion.
No, that also will qualify as an isolated system.
No. I'm taking this is as a universe. Isolated system is a universe.
Right.
And this universe, you have higher consciousness. That is a seed. And it is creating the orderness. Now this is not the isolated example. You have many examples. Like I gave this example. Wherever, some people are fighting, the higher consciousness person comes and then it, resolves the issue. This is very common. And Bhagavad Gita also says. So I say that the orderness increases because of the presence of higher consciousness. It means that there are various levels of consciousness. Okay, it's not that the human mind has only soul, the human body has only soul or something like that. No, these are different level of consciousness.
So here you mean the spectral tensor means adding dimension one after the other?
I use the term spectral tensor because all the time we get some kind of waves.
Right.
Okay, the tensor normally you have some numbers.
Right.
But here we are getting the waves. And we are a form of waves, Chit, we can say. So we have a lot of our own vibrations. And we get some vibration from outside also. So when the vibration matches, then we get some kind of energy. When vibration doesn't match, then we don't get any response. Like for example, eye, no, a ear can only hear. So you get one type of wave, eyes are getting another kind of waves. So instead of considering a normal tensor, I'm taking it as spectral tensor. Means each has some kind of waves. And when this frequency of the wave and the inherent frequency matches, you get some kind of excitement. So that concept, because it's an invariant, I'm putting that concept in tensor.
So the spectral, sorry for the one more query. The spectral tensor, is it for an individual entity? As it
Yes.
changes, the entity changes, it depends on the level of consciousness.
Actually, it reveals, like I said, that seed is growing.
Right.
So even though it has all the property, seed has all the property, but it grows slowly. It
Not
gets slowly
manifested, not
realized.
manifested immediately.
It's not manifesting immediately. Okay. So the other aspect is that, you have to decide which type of waves you want. For example, my friend wants the waves of Lord Krishna. I want the waves of Hanumanji. Now this is my decision. It is his decision. You're getting my point. So in one stage, you have to decide also which type of waves you want and which type of wave I want. So it's not like that everybody will get all type of waves. No. Then if you get that type of wave, you will get that type of body. I will get another type of body.
Okay. So what I understood is the
Yeah.
spectral tensor is individual, depending on the individual.
No. Then later stage, it is on the later stage. Initially, it is growing. A later stage, you have to decide that I want to go in this direction.
Okay. So it's limitless then?
Definitely, it has infinite dimension. And we have to choose few. We have to choose few and we have to stay on that.
Thank you, Professor. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any other questions from the audience?
Sir, you can also give the example of that weak formulation and this DGR, that example.
Actually, there's a different direction. It will go in the different direction. That's why I just skipped that.